Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, now that we know, obviously, ugh, blah, blah, blah. Hey guys, now that we know about, okay, now that we know about the different types of Facebook advertising and some of the things that we've gone over, now we're actually going to get to the fun part of actually creating these ads and setting them up. Now, there's a few things to remember, and we're going to use a live presentation that I'm going to show you on how to do these. But here's just some bullet points to kind of keep in mind as we go throughout the process to kind of look at them. So remember that there are different types, and when I mean different types, where there's different types of media ads that we can do. So we can do more message and image, we can do an actual video, those types of things. So we can get kind of creative with this as we go along. The other thing, and probably one of the more important things to realize, and probably the more important reasons that people use Facebook, is because of the demographic information that you can, utilize and actually target on Facebook. It's amazing what people these days will tell us as advertisers. Well, or more or less, they're telling Facebook, which then Facebook is allowing us to pay them to tap into that information about themselves. And so we can actually capitalize on that by actually creating ads that are specific to those types of people. The other one that's also interesting is the interest. So we can actually target people with different interest levels. And so I'll show you all these different types of things. And then obviously, we do have budget. But for this, let's kind of dive in and let's go through the different types of ads that we can actually set up and look on Facebook. The easiest way to just start with Facebook advertisement is to actually go to your business page. So when you navigate to your business page, you'll know that you are logged in as the actual admin. When we see, our ad a picture like this, we see this white ad bar up there. You may know this, but I just want to make sure that we're covering that to make sure that you know you're in the right spot. So to actually start advertising, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here a little bit, and we're going to see the little blue button that says promote. Remember, going back to our conversation, there are mainly two different types of advertisements within Facebook. It's the promote and the boost. Well, Facebook has actually just newly added this new little feature here on how to actually boost posts. And I'll show you the two different ways. So the first way is actually, I'm just going to go show you on our timeline, is to find a post that we actually like, and we can actually sit there and boost that. So we could sit there and we could actually just find a public post, and you can go way back to whenever you want to go back to, and we can find a post that we want, and we can simply click boost. Now again, this is going to take an already existed post and boost it out there. So it's not only going to be public and you're going to get people to like it there and interact with it, you're also going to be able to push this out to more and more people. And I'll show you a few things in here one more time, just for boosting. But I want to show you one other thing. The other thing is that you can now actually just click on this little button that says show your post to more people. And now you can actually, instead of scrolling on your timeline, you can actually just see all of your posts right away. What this allows you to do is then just be able to pick one, and you're going to get the same screen that we just did. So whatever's easiest for you, you're going to be able to do. Now, when we're boosting a post, the first thing is going to be that we can actually add a button. I highly recommend, adding a button here. You want to make sure that it's a good call to action. So a lot of times, if you're, when in doubt, usually the learn more button is the best. But if you have a more direct kind of post, if it's, again, talking about shopping, obviously booking an appointment, signing up for something, getting directions, obviously those are kind of self-explanatory. We're going to go with the learn more button because it's the most kind of widely used. Next is going to be, hey, where does that link go to? Now, a couple things with this, and this kind of goes in a little bit more of kind of marketing, is you want to make sure you're trying to send them to the most direct landing page and URL. What I mean by that is sometimes sending them to the homepage is good, but if we have a direct link of where this is going, then on our website, and maybe it's more, we're talking about a certain service on our, again, business. We're talking about a certain product on our business. We're talking about, signing up for, or, signing up for a free demo or a course. We want to send them to that page. So just for example purposes, I'm going to say, hey, this is a campaign. I want to send them to a Google page on my website. So instead of sending them to the home page, I'm going to send them to a page that I've created. And again, I'm just using this as a test to say, hey, /Google. Now, when we get down here, now we actually have the audience. And this is where it gets fun. Now, as you start to go, you'll see that there are different audiences that are created for you and are saved. So you can go back to these audiences. But when we're just starting out, what we get is you can either choose people through targeting, which we'll talk about here in a second. You can actually just people who like your page. What this means is anybody that likes your page has an opportunity to already see your post that you're, again, that you've essentially already posted. But if you want to make sure just those people are seeing your stuff, because it doesn't mean that every single one of them, just because you post something on your Facebook page, is going to see it, then you want to be able to just do people who like your page. The other one that's also kind of fun is we can go to people who like your page and their friends. So now, obviously, if we have 500 people that follow our page, we get also all of their friends that it's boosting out to. So it's a way that you can kind of, the two predetermined ones are going to be people that are just kind of following you and just going to be connected to the people that are following you. And you can kind of use those for different purposes. This is really good for, very simple posts that you just want to make sure and are maybe very related to the people that are already following you. It's sometimes a good idea just to kind of quickly get them out there to the people that either follow you or their friends. The one that most people kind of want to do, and when you actually start to get into advertising a lot, is we want to look at the people you choose through targeting. So when we get to here, we look at the, we have the different options that we're able to do. The first one is gender. So obviously we can go, hey, do we want to just target males? Do we just want to target females? Or hey, do we want to target all men and women? Kind of depends on what you're doing, but you obviously have that at your disposal. Same thing with age. We can go all the way down to 13 if you'd like, because that's the lowest age that you're required to be in order to have a Facebook page. Or you can go all the way up to 65 plus. So you can kind of fit in within your demographic. So for, again, let's go after all men and women, and let's do 30 to 55. So this is only going to show to people that are within that age of 30 to 55. Now we also get to look at location. A lot of times it's going to default to the state that you're in, or the location that you're in, but we can essentially go after, any place. So we can go after a country, we can go after a city, and we can even go after zip codes. So what's kind of nice is you're able to add a ton of different maneuverability when it comes to locations, from countries down to, again, cities. You kind of saw at the beginning there, we had states. So you're able to do, a lot there. The other kind of cool thing is when you do an actual city, you can actually then do in a radius around it if you'd like. So it can, it can be a really, again, kind of cool thing. Otherwise, you click that button and we're only targeting Minneapolis. Otherwise, hey, maybe I want to do Minneapolis with a 10-mile radius around it. So, and as you can see, they kind of stack here, so you can do multiple areas and they don't have to be in the exact same country, hemisphere, even anything like that. So you can go, globally, you can go very, specific around you. Obviously, if we're a small business, most likely we're going to be doing a lot of campaigns that are around us. So a lot of times I see small business owners either doing a lot of cities around us or doing the radius. The next one is the almighty detail targeting, which is kind of the interest level. Now, this is interesting because you can actually, Facebook is actually kind of combined these together. And now we're able to target people that have different behavior types, different job titles, and different interest levels. What that means is if you're targeting any type of person that you can essentially qualify by a tag, then we can put them in here. And what I mean by that is you can kind of see this right here. If I want to go after a small business owner, I can start typing in, oops. So I can actually start typing in small business owner. Now you're going to want to scroll here and you're going to pay attention to the right-hand side because Facebook is going to categorize them in a certain way. So this is small business owners, an interest level. The interests are going to show people that Facebook is actually tracking people on how they interact with their platform. So the pages that they actually like, the words that they're using, the different things that they're actually posting, the things that they're commenting on, and they're actually getting a profile of these people. And if that matches what Facebook designates as a small business owner kind of interest level, they're going to be able to do that. Same thing kind of with behaviors, very similar. How are they behaving? You could ask the question of how does Facebook know this? And, that's kind of Facebook's kind of algorithm, and they're deciding that. But the other one also is a demographic, or you could even look at, oops, to be careful here, scrolling can get a little out of hand for you. You can also, look at the demographic, and when in doubt, just pick all of them because then you're going to cover your basis. But the other one that's kind of cool is if you find one that has the job title next to it. So if you actually want to go after someone that has a job title of that. Now, obviously, not everybody updates their job titles on Facebook and keep those up to date or even do those. So you may have to be, again, considerate of that. But you can actually go after job titles as well. So in this instance, I'm just going to add here I'm just going to add a bunch of people because what I want to show you is when you highlight over them, you can kind of see the different breakdown of them. So, I can see that small business owners, there's about approximately 894 people that Facebook can target in my local, in the area that I've designated. Could be local, could be national, whatever you are targeting. The small business owners, 57,000. So, you can kind of get a good kind of grasp of this. Now, you're going to want in the thousands, most likely, in order to actually have an effective campaign. If you have it too narrow, It's hard because Facebook, obviously those numbers look really appealing, but Facebook has a hard time actually going after them and getting them to, again, actually interact with your ads. Now you'll also see this, and this can sometimes confuse people down here. It's kind of a cool little scale though if you use it right, is Facebook's trying to help you designate and make sure you have enough people you're going after, but also not, too many when we're looking at our audience. So they have this little scale here. Now, most of the time when you're doing local campaigns, if you're not paying attention to this, it's going to be on too specific. We want to try and get it into the gray area. But one of the things I want to make sure of, and you understand, is you can have successful campaigns running them in the too specific. Now, let me just get this show up in too specific, just so you can kind of see what this looks like. Is you can kind of see, right, if I'm just, if I just did the one self-employed interest or detailed targeting kind of field, I get the too specific right there. It says, hey, your audience selection is too specific for your ads to be shown. Try making it broader. What's kind of funny is obviously if you read that, you would think that your ads may not show. That's not the case. They actually will show. It's just that Facebook is trying to get you to have a broader audience. Now, I also encourage you to try to add some to get a little bit broader audience, but if you absolutely can't, you can run them like this. We can also exclude people. So if there are certain areas that you actually want to exclude, we can look at that. You can look at maybe it is a self-employed, but maybe I don't want to go after, for whatever reason, bakeries. So I can go ahead and get rid of anybody that has kind of the bakeries. You can also add, and they must also again follow this criteria. What the difference between these two are is the main one that I just walked you through, and then the narrow is that the main one I walked you through, this is an and/or system. So it means that they can, again, be considered all of these or just one of these. Again, the narrow system is they must also match that, meaning they have to match, something in there. So if we put, 6 different tags up here, that means that if someone matches, again, one of those tags, they're going to show up. If they match 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them, they're still going to show up, but they only need to essentially match one of your tags. This one is essentially saying, no matter what you put into this box, they 100% have to match. So if you put multiple things, they have to match every single one of them. Now, obviously, you want to be careful with this because, again, going back to the too specific thing, we can kind of get too specific when we look at that. Now, I know it says too specific right here, but like we kind of talked about, that's fine. I'm just using this as an example. Here's another one I want to pay attention to is the Instagram one. I want you to uncheck the Instagram button because we normally are going to recommend that you actually run your own Instagram promotions via Instagram. Now, if you want to try this, that's fine. Essentially what it's going to do is it's going to throw it up right on Instagram, but Instagram has their own kind of advertising platform, and usually we find better results if you actually create them in Instagram because it's native to that platform. The next is going to be budget and duration. So this is obviously going to be how long are your ads running for and how much are you willing to spend. So the one thing I want to make sure you pay attention to is this will actually change between your daily budget and your total budget between different ad types you're doing. So the first one is the total budget. This is the main one you're going to see. For the duration of your entire ad that you're putting out here, how much total do you want to spend? So if we just want to spend potentially like, hey, I'm only going to spend $50 for this whole thing, this is, this is how much I'm going to be able to, again, want to spend. Now I'm actually going to go up here, and I actually do want to go back here and just I wanted to just make that into a grate to show you one thing. If you have that at too specific, you won't get the estimated people reached. But if you do have this in a great kind of stance, and it's, again, within Facebook's parameters, they'll actually show you the estimated people reached. So you can see here that if I spend $50, I'm approximately going to reach 2,800 to 7,500 people. That means I'm just reaching them and they're going to see it. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to click on my ad. Doesn't mean they're going to, again, comment or share or anything like this. They just have the opportunity really to kind of see it and are going to be able to do that. You also can then, the duration. How long am I actually going to run this ad? I can pick 1 day, 7 days, 14 days, just the predetermined, or I can actually do the specific ads within the calendar. Normally, it's going to be dependent on what your ad is about. Again, if there are time constraints, obviously, if you're doing an event, you're not going to want to be posting it afterwards. That is one key thing I want to make sure of is pay attention to your duration. There's nothing worse than actually seeing people run ads, especially around like the holidays. After that holiday is already, get over with, they're still running that same ad because they're not paying attention. They didn't pay attention when they actually ran it. So it detracts from your business if you do that. And honestly, it looks very tacky. So make sure for here, we're just going to say 7 days to kind of throw it out there. You can obviously pick your payment type and bam, we're going to hit the button boost and it's going to go out there right away. Now, if you wanted to see what it looked like, you can actually see the different kind of makeup of your actual ad here. And that, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is how we're going to actually boost a ad on Facebook. Next, we're going to be looking at promoting your business locally. Now, what you're going to notice is a lot of these things are going to start to look alike when we start looking, from the boost, a lot of things that we kind of talked about, but obviously there's going to be some differentiating factors. So the first one, if we're going to run a promote your business locally, is the first one that Facebook's going to ask you is, hey, where do you want to actually run this? So we're going to pick, again, 15 miles maybe from our office location. It's obviously going to pull out the location that you have in the about section, right then and there, and it's going to show you your potential reach. So this is telling me our 15-mile radius around my office is going to be essentially 1.3 million people. And so, we look at that and go, whoa, that's awesome. But now we can start to refine that to the actual people that we want. Now, we did this kind of with boosting. Again, we have the different ages that we can go after. We can go after the different genders. And then, like we kind of talked about, we can go after different interest levels. Now, you'll know that on the interest levels here, let's see. That, we can only really kind of include, well, it recommends 3 to 5. We don't have as much functionality here as we did like in boosting. So we can't do like the narrow, we can't do the exclude. These are just some basic interests that we want to do. So maybe I'm going after someone in the food industry. So I'm picking a baker. I'm going to pick someone, maybe I really want to go after somebody that's, that classifies themselves as a small business owner. And really is, maybe they really like education. Maybe I want someone, maybe I'm doing a promotion and it's, again, I want to go after bakers that are, obviously also, identify themselves as small business owners and are very educational. Again, I recommend not running, these right on Instagram. Now we get to actually do the ad creative. So you'll see up here, pay attention right here that we only have these certain characters. So what's going to happen is, I want to show you this, is as I'm starting to start to type, maybe I want to do Skoll marketing, web development. Well, unfortunately, web development with Skoll marketing is going to be larger than the 25 characters. So what I'm going to probably end up doing is you can do, kind of play around with it, but hey, web dev, kind of works. You can see that this is where the title is going, is right down here. And then down here as well is, we have our text. So Facebook is going to take that. We obviously only get 90 characters right here. And so we're going to have to kind of, again, create a, again, quick, concise message. Now, where this one, the headline was down here, the text is actually right up here that's going to sit on top of your ad. We can also replace the image. This is just pulling in a lot of times your cover picture. So if you're going to be doing effective ads, that's really good and important to actually, again, have the different types of pictures that are available to us. You can actually, upload your own picture. Otherwise, any picture that you've posted on Facebook previously can be used. So potentially, if I'm looking at this, I want to use this picture. I can reposition the picture if I'd like. Oh, come on, load here. So you can play around with the cropping. There we go. It was just being a little fussy there, not wanting to pull in. One thing you want to pay attention to when it comes to the images, though, is you want to stay away from having words in your images. If you have too many words in your images, Facebook will actually flag them, and you'll actually get them taken down. So you want to make sure that you don't have many words in there. Usually the rule of thumb is the word should not take up more than 20% of your image. So just, again, keep that in mind. Here we have another call to action. So we can kind of figure out what we want to do. Maybe we want them to send a message. If you're going to be doing local ads, I'd recommend including a map, within there, unless you don't have your, again, business location, specifically, but it's even going to still show the area that you're in. So I highly recommend that, just to give your users an opportunity to see. And now here's a little different than what we just kind of talked about and what I, wanted to make sure that you paid attention to is the daily budget. The reason I want to make sure you pay attention to this is that, the previous one with boosting, it looked exactly the same, except right here it says daily and the other one says total. If you don't pay attention, you could be thinking, hey, like on the previous one, I want to spend a total of $50. Well, obviously, if I just did this, I just did daily budget, and it's going to spend $50 every single day. So you want to be careful about that. So here we just have the daily budget. What we're going to do then is we are going to, say, hey, if I want to spend $50 total, maybe I want to spend $10 a day, and I'm going to do 5 different, 5 days. So, and then if you obviously wanted to, you could do one of the predetermined ones. Doesn't really matter. So we have the daily budget and then our payment, and then bam, we hit promote. It's going to go right out there. As the boost one, you can kind of see what they're going to look like, give people an idea. Since we added that map card, you're going to see kind of a slideshow kind of preview here. Same thing here. If we got rid of that, that's also going to get rid of that as well. So, and that is how we're going to run a promote your business locally campaign. Next, we're going to look at promoting your actual page. Now, what this promotion is going to do is essentially going to serve up your page to certain individuals that give them the opportunity to actually follow your page. So this is how you're going to increase followers. So this is a really good one to start out with if you're just starting your Facebook page or you don't have many followers to begin with, because this is kind of a great way to get people in the door so that when we're speaking organically, we don't have to be running so many ads to always be getting at the right people. Because the people that are actually following us are the people we kind of want to pay attention to a little bit more, because obviously, again, they're a user of us and they want to actually follow us. So up here is the ad creative. So this is just like we've talked about previously. You're going to, again, write a message. If it, for the page ones, it's probably going to be very general, just to get people to kind of like your page. We can look at adding a video instead. This works really, really well for promoting your page. If you have a video of some sort, or even doing a stock video, and you can Google those, you can find those around. Having those different videos like that can be super valuable to promote your page. And all it's going to do, obviously, is just going to continuously play. If you have a specific video about you, that's even better, and you can kind of play around with that. Facebook loves video, users love video, and so if you can use video, that's another really good one to look at. But for this example, we're just going to use an image just because it's really easy for right now. So, going back to the audience, it's going to be very kind of redundant what we've been talking about, but we have, now we can choose people through targeting. Otherwise, we can try, and if we've done these prior, we can actually get the different target audiences that we've already determined. We're going to go through this again, but we're just going to, play around with some of the dials just to give you an example. So I'm going to go after just men ages 17 to 65 plus with a 45-mile radius around St. Louis Park, Minnesota. And this, I was already playing around with this, so there's already some interest levels in there. But for instance, maybe I want to go after men. You can kind of see, I'm just going to show you an example of, sometimes it's disappointing because maybe I want to go after professional athletes or just athletes in general, but I type in professional athletes, it's not there. So what that means, unfortunately, is we can't go after that, and we have to kind of be a little bit more creative. So, hey, I want to go after an athlete. Boom. Maybe I want to go after football players. Maybe I want to go after baseball players. Maybe I want to go after people that like tennis. You can kind of see the different things that we can kind of go after here, and you can kind of get a good profile of that person. And you're going to really kind of have to play around with this. This one is the most that it's going to, because I can't tell you every little thing that Facebook is going to allow. I can't tell you everything that Facebook isn't going to allow because it's so different, and Facebook is rapidly changing this. But maybe and going along with this, to exclude, maybe I just don't, I also don't want to go after people that are, that like soccer, or for whatever reason, I don't want to go after soccer players. So I've got football players, baseball players, tennis players that I want to go after. I just, for this campaign, don't want to go after soccer players. So I'm going to, again, exclude soccer players from there. So I'm going to hit save. It's going to save it right there. Now, looking at this, again, it's just going to be the same thing we've kind of talked about prior. Now we're looking at the budget and duration. This is another daily budget one. So maybe I only want to spend $5 per day. And then what it's also going to kind of do, which is kind of nice, is it's going to estimate the average number of likes that you're most likely are going to get on a daily basis. So at $5 a day, Facebook is saying that I will estimate to get $2 to $8 likes per day for the $5. And then obviously we can do the duration. So I'm going to run it for 28 days. Bam, hit promote. My ad is going to continue, is going to start to run. Now, the next one is get more people to contact. This one is going to be similar to some of the other ones we've done or have some of the same features, but its main purpose is to obviously contact you. What you're going to see here is, we're going to have our headline, which again is going to be right here. We're going to have our text, which is going to be right up here. We only get 90 characters, and so I'm just making sure that that is aligned with that. Playing around with the, with the text is also a really good thing. If you've ever heard of A/B testing, which means that we can have the same ad, but then different types of text, that may be something to kind of play around with. Maybe there's some creative, different buzzwords, descriptive words that we can kind of use within the text to kind of go after the people that we're trying to target. Other thing to remember is if we're going after different target markets or having different campaigns, having that different text in there to actually, again, cater towards that demographic is going to be, important as well. We can do image or video like we have, again, prior. And then, so how this one works is you can kind of see right here, Facebook blatantly says it. Hey, your contact us button will appear on an ad for your page. If you'd like to change the button, edit it on your page. What it's essentially doing right here is this one is going to promote the button for whatever you designated up here. So for me, it's the contact us button, but for you, maybe it's the shop button, maybe it's a learn more button. But that's what this one more or less is going to do, is it's trying to get more people to interact with that button. So, mine's going to show as contact us. Again, yours may be different because you have a different call to action at that, again, at that level. And so you can kind of change that, and you can't change that within here. You would have to go to that button and actually change that. But this is trying to promote that button and get people to do whatever you want them to do via that button. And so, again, we're going to be able to do our, target audience. So maybe, I'm just going to target people that like our page and their friends, because it's on my page and I'm kind of getting them to contact us. Hey, again, I just want to target people that, already kind of like us and go after that demographic. Let's make sure that we unclick the run promotion on Instagram. And then we're going to look at the daily budget. We're looking at, I want to spend $5 a day, run it for 14 days. Obviously your payment type, bam, we're going to hit promote. As you can see, some of these are starting to see a little bit redundant with just a little bit of change, and that's kind of the whole point here, is that Facebook's trying to make this easy, especially for small business owners, to be able to just see, hey, this is what I want to do, get comfortable with a lot of the settings, because a lot of the settings are essentially similar, and then, hey, run my campaign. Next one is going to the get more website visitors. You sometimes always have to check up here because they won't always give you the ad creative popped open. So as you saw, all I did was click edit and it kind of popped it open there. This one is you're a little bit more traditional and what people use a lot of times on Facebook, or especially with small business owners, because it's going to be taking people from Facebook and getting them to a specific spot on your website. That's a little bit more traditional in the sense of kind of pay-per-click advertisement, or what normally people think of when we think of social media or web advertising. So here, again, we're going to have our URL. Want to make sure that this is as specific as possible. So this does not mean always sending them to the home page. Maybe it's, a landing page. If we do have a video, we can look to kind of add that. If we don't, images are going to be fine. Oops. What it's also doing here is, you saw the picture changed. It's actually pulling in the picture from this page on your website and actually pulling it into there. If you don't want that, we're able to actually upload an image, select an image at your own. Headline, we're going to change right here as well. So you're gonna have to kind of figure out which one is going to be right for you, but kind of breaking that down, that's what we're kind of looking at. Next, we have our call to action. So you can see that this one has a few more call to actions that many of you have seen before. So this one, maybe it's a, contact us because, hey, we want to build your website. Bam, again, it's right there. Just like normal, we have our same audience, so we can actually edit our audience and target the same audience like we have prior. So we've got, gender, age, location, detailed targeting with the exclude, narrow, all that kind of stuff. Or I can just target people that are already connected or previous ones that we have actually run before that it's going to auto save for you. Don't want to run this on Instagram. This one is another daily budget. Most of them are going to be a daily budget, but I just want to make sure that you understand that there sometimes are the total budgets, and I want you to continuously look at that. And then hit the duration, and bam. Now, one thing you want to make sure of too is you can also see it's going to calculate it here for you. So it's going to tell you how much you're going to spend, and then when your ad is going to run, how many days, and then what date that would actually be. So hopefully that took you through the different types of, so hopefully that gives you an idea of the different, the different types of ads you can set up and actually going through them. Now, I know some of that may have been a little fast, but hopefully you can kind of rewind them and kind of look at that. Also, I know some of them were very repetitive, but like I mentioned before, that actually kind of helps you because you get a better idea. And the reason that Facebook sets it up this way is they're just trying to tweak certain parameters to kind of give small business owners an opportunity to effectively run different campaigns that are targeted in a different way and sometimes to different types of people that are served up differently. And that may be, again, our different goal with location, with again, video compared to image, again, what it actually is our call to action, things like that. So playing around with the different types is really important. And so just a couple things to remember throughout this entire thing is that if you can, video is really great to play around with, and you should really kind of try it. Now, you don't need your actual own video or your commercial. If you do, great, but you could even try looking at kind of stock video and kind of playing around with that. The demographics, really going after different gender, age, and location. Again, take advantage of this. We can't do this besides location within, things like Google or Bing AdWords. We can't go after different gender, ages, or even interest levels. So take advantage of the different demographic areas that you're able to within Facebook, because that's the power of social media advertising. Interest levels, make sure you realize that the different types of ads sometimes are going to have different parameters, but to remember as you're typing in the person that you're trying to go after, if it's a job title, if it's an interest level, a behavior level, to try and get again multiple of the same type of tags. So, if I'm going after a baker, I want to make sure that I'm going after sometimes the job title as well as the interest level as well as the behavior level. It can get a little confusing as a lot of those different tags are just generated by Facebook and can sometimes be frustrating, but play around with that, keeping in mind that we can also exclude certain people as well as narrow. And the difference there, just as a reminder, is the general interest level is going to be an and or system. Again, the narrow system is going to essentially be like, hey, they have to meet one of these criteria or every single criteria. So essentially just an and system that is going to be in the narrow system. And then finally, just making sure that you understand the promote and the boost, how the budgets are kind of derived. Most of the ones, are going to be daily budgets, but we do have sometimes the total budget as well.